If you went to your local thrift store and grabbed 25 old cross-stitch magazines from the free box, would there be things in it that you want to stitch? I'm Michelle. This is my romantic tangle. That is what I decided to find out this week. I went through this whole stack of magazines and marked just everything that struck my fancy because, well, I wasn't going to leave them behind at the thrift store. I knew going into this that a lot of them were cross stitch and country crafts. I love cross stitch and country crafts, so I was already biased. Most of them still had their mailing covers on, so I couldn't see from the covers what exactly I was getting. I am not claiming for a moment that I am ever going to stitch all of this, but I thought it would be a fun way to spend some time, especially while I'm propping my foot up after twisting my ankle. I'm going to show you the covers so that if you want to track one of these down, you have something to go by. This first one is cross stitch and needlework. And this was one of the ones that only had a couple things that I want to stitch, but oh my gosh, look at this one. This is Seasoned with Love, and it is exactly up my alley. That is one that I'm claiming that I will stitch. Church Street Doorway was intriguing. I like it, but I know darn well that I have plenty of doorways in my pattern collection. And then the bees and the birds. Look at that birdhouse sampler, and then look at this one with the bee scabs. Absolutely, that is the kind of pattern that floats my boat. This one is cross stitch and country crafts. And I see more markers in this one. There's a gingerbread house. I like it. I'm already changing my mind as I go back through these a second time to share them with you. And on a different day, I absolutely would have made different choices. Mary Englebright had a design in here. This is the Bridges of Madison County. And I am a little bit up in the air about this one, but I marked it so I could find it again later. It's part of a series. And the Gloria sampler, absolutely, I have got to stitch this. I'm going to make a separate pile of the magazines that have things that I absolutely have to stitch. That just seems like a more sensible way to do this. And yep, Seasoned with Love is going in that pile. Cross stitch and needlework. I kind of like him. Would you stitch him? Again, he's one that I marked, so I could find him again later. I don't know if I would stitch him. I am pretty sure I want to stitch this. That whole frame is black work. So is that... Okay, that is two separate pieces. I like it even more now. Here's the cross stitcher. I think this was the only copy of this one in here. These were all from the really late 80s to like the mid 90s. There was a Victorian Village Afghan series. There were only 2 of the houses, and they're charted for DMC flower threads, so I found a lot of samplers that I really like. This one is Spanish Samplers by Ann Stanton, and I think no, I didn't knock a bookmark out. I knocked lots and lots of subscription cards. These were Ramona's magazines. I am so glad that Ramona donated them to the thrift shop instead of tossing them. Lighthouses of the West Coast. I can see myself making a quilt. After Beacon at Daybreak, I am not doing a lighthouse anytime soon, except those other kits I just ordered, but, you know, to thine own self be true. Oh, forgot to tell you, this is cross stitch and needlepoint. Woodland Creatures. I really like this one. I found some of their other collector plates in other issues. This one's October 1999. And this is the only one that had me jumping up and down. And the circle sampler also has me jumping up and down a bit. I am apparently in a sampler mood. I didn't know that until I started going through these today. This is Cross Stitch Magazine number 32. And it was Sleigh Ride that caught my eye. I want a different colored fabric. I want to do something else with those trees, but I do want to stitch that one. And then Stitcher's Heart. In some delusional version of my future, I see myself stitching on that on a t-shirt. It wouldn't be that much work. This is Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, December 92. And I kind of fell for Noah's Ark. I absolutely fell for the barn. This is a 3-barn series. This one is the Pennsylvania barn. Years ago, I stitched the Midwest barn, and somewhere in my stash, I have the Western barn. And then this one is a sampler, or a motto maybe. I like this one. I like the barn, and I know exactly who I would stitch this for. So that is going in the stuff I want to stitch pile. This is Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, March, April 1992. I think as they got later into their publication, I found fewer things that I loved. I do like that ornament with the church though. And that is actually the only thing in here that I marked. I went into this assuming that not all of the magazines would have something I wanted and figuring I could donate them back after I sorted through them. This is April 2000 Cross Stitch and Needlework. And there is a Bee Skep bookmark that is a bonus project that does not have a picture, so I can't show it to you. I don't know who planned that out. But this is Hollis Minor. She did a book on needlepoint at Winter Thur. I think I might have that book. So I am hoping this is in the book that I have. How many books of needlepoint at Winter Thur can there be? This one is in the magazine, and I really like it. And yes, I am considering how much work that would be to stitch. And again, we are just playing What If. Cross Stitch and Needlework, June 1999. They like to hide the dates on these. Have you noticed that? This is a design by Robin Kingsley. I love bees. I have seen a lot of bee samplers, some of them in this magazine. I have not seen this one. And everything's coming up daisies. Look at the quilt. I do not have it in me to stitch that set of daisies that many times. I really like the tablecloth, and I bet the tablecloth you could incorporate into a quilt and just do 4 of them for the corners. This is River Road Doorway. I have to keep reminding myself that we are just playing What If, and I'm not promising myself I'm going to stitch these. Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, March, April 1995. And I did mark those bunnies because I like the flowers in the baskets. I also like this sampler. The name is Consider the Lilies. I love this illuminated house blessing. And it is going in my pile of things I must stitch so that my life will be complete. St. Francis and St. Benedict, bless this house from the wicked might, keep it from all evil sprites. Spirits, spelled S-P-I-R-E-T-E-S, that is not sprites. Fairies, weasels, bats, and something else. I want this. This is like getting its very own pile to itself so I can pull fabric and floss. Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, July, August, 87. And it is one of the stockings. I love these stockings so much. The stocking is in there, and the center panel of a Mid-Amish Life is in there. Did I mention that these were in the free box? This is one of the very few ones that there was nothing in there that struck my fancy. This is Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, September, October 1993. And I thought I had this one, that I had stitched something in it, but it turns out this is a different old house, old haunted house. I kind of like the little mice, especially the one wrapping up the cheese in a ribbon. They could make fun ornaments. And I kind of maybe like this house sampler. Emphasis on the maybe. This one is Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, November, December 1993. And that Santa plate would be absolutely tedious to stitch, but I like it. And that is actually the only thing in this magazine that I think I might stitch. May, June 1995, Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. And I marked this one to show it to you. I actually, 20 some years ago, this was one of the first things I ever did on linen, this little bee sampler. There was a bee sat on a wall. He said he could hum, and that is all. And somewhere buried in my original Under the Bed box, I still have that one. I picked up Beth Russell's Lion. I am not sure if it even has all of its pages. That would be so much stitching, but it is so pretty. Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. This is, what is this? November, December 1994. And this is another sampler that I absolutely adore. But a lot of these samplers are kind of similar, so I don't know if over the period of years and years, maybe I would stitch them all. I do like the Quaint Owl sampler. That one really makes me smile. This is Cross Stitch for All Seasons. I'm not finding a year on it. This is not one that I think I have seen before, the magazine. It might be one of those special interest things where they compile patterns from older magazines. I do like this sampler. I love all of those flowers. And some of these samplers, I'm thinking you could put a different quote in there. I also like that rooster, but he is charted for specialty threads and overdyes, and here's a beach scene that is very pretty. I like the house and the shawls, and it is just a nice tranquil scene. Here's another sampler that kind of intrigued me. And I love this one. Haunted Hollow Eve. I think I would do it without the fences, so the emphasis is more on those fabulous trees. This one's a definite yes for me. Here is Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, May, June 1993. I like this one a lot. I don't know that I would actually stitch it. Some of these you will see that somebody has actually stitched them and posted better pictures than what was in the magazine. And I lost the plot there for a second. Sorry. This is a Baltimore album quilt. I found 2 of the issues with sections of it. And I generally would rather quilt a quilt than stitch a quilt, but You're talking a lot of stitching for an actual quilt. This one is by Barbara and Cheryl. They are one of my favoriteest designers. So that had to get a bookmark. That one is beautiful, Victorian Love Note. And then this little pincushion. I could start stitching that tonight. I couldn't start stitching that tonight, but I wanted to start stitching that tonight. Here's another cross stitch and country crafts that nothing in it struck my fancy. This is Cross Stitch Plus, which is, I think I've seen issues of this one before. I tend to pick up stacks of these at estate sales when they are dirt cheap. This is a Victorian Christmas Delights Afghan, and it is only one of, I think, 3 issues that had sections of it. I like it. I don't like that they have you stitching each design multiple times. That doesn't make sense to me. I would rather have more variation of designs. If I was going to do it, I would stitch them and put them with piece blocks and make a quilt and get rid of that repetition. Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, March, April 1993. Here's the other part of the Baltimore album. Salt Glaze Sampler, I like that one. I'm not curious if somewhere in my stash I might or might not have the other section of that lurking. And Young Man's Fancy. He has been on my to-stitch list for a very long time. It is such a creepy, wonderful portrait, and the only thing that's been putting me off is that the eyes and lips are over 1. I don't want to stitch this whole huge thing over 2 just so that I can do that little bit of over 1. Somebody somewhere said you could do over 1 on regular Aida and just make quarter stitches on the larger size. Do 4 stitches in each square of Aida. One of these days I'm going to try that out so I know if I can do this or not. I like this one. I have a feeling, or maybe it's just a hope, that this might look better stitched in person than it does in the magazine, because I'm a little bit on the fence. Oh, and I like the polar bear ornament. Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, and because these were covered up, I did not know what I was getting. I got the candy box. Squeal! I mean, the candy box is in the book, and I have the magazine with the candy box, but I like the candy box. That is a very pretty floral wreath. This is one of the very first magazines I found at the thrift store when I started collecting cross-stitch patterns. And I have seen it stitched since then. I love it. I'm a little bit afraid of it. I have not gotten over that original fear when I knew it would be way too hard for me. Look at this family tree. I have been wanting to do birth samplers. I know that they would be for me and not my kids, so this would be a way to do it. There was another one I found years and years ago for multiple children that I loved, but I wasn't sure at that point. We didn't want to be done. It turned out we were, but we weren't ready to be done, so here's another sampler I like. So I think I might stitch, I'm going to stitch some kind of birth sampler that is going to be for me. I just counted my little bookmarks and came up with about 55 different designs in these that I want to, that I like enough to consider stitching them. There are probably a dozen that I am really sure I want to stitch. Old magazines have a lot of great stuff in them. And yes, it depends on what your taste is. So that was the point of this video, to see if these old magazines are for you or not. I find them all the time. Our friends at the library bookstore sells them for $0.10, and there are a few issues of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts that are absolutely everywhere. They were in this box at the thrift store too, but I left those behind because I know I've got copies of them at home. Thanks for watching. I'm Michelle. This is my romantic tangle. Let me know what caught your eye. Are these full of things that you want to stitch, or do you prefer newer designs?